Welcome to Bon Jovi Discussions. Today I have my friend Leesha, who is from Indiana, and we are going to talk about not one, but two albums. We are going to talk about David Bryan's solo albums, On a Full Moon and Lunar Eclipse. When I was trying to think of the perfect person to talk about these albums with, it took about maybe 5 seconds to think I'll get Leesha on to do these albums because you're a hardcore, passionate David Bryan fan.
Yes.
So I'm thankful that you were able to come on today, and I know we'll put a plug in for your Instagram, which everyone needs to go follow if you're a big David Bryan fan. It's davidbryanfc, it's on Twitter as well, right? Same tag.
Yeah, it is. And on Facebook.
So before we get started, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, especially
How's
when I can talk about my favorite man.
Yeah, how's Indiana?
Um, Rainy, stormy.
We just
I
we
think
just
I think maybe we were getting like the very tip of Elsa. I don't know.
that's I was just talking about that with my neighbor a little bit ago. I think that's what we were. I think we were getting the tip of Elsa or something because we've had some hardcore rain the last few days. But my plants and my grass needed it. So, but
We
anyway,
needed it here too.
yeah. So anyway, so I know, I was on a debate on just talking about the two solo albums or the soundtracks. But we'll do the soundtracks another time. Memphis, Toxic Avenger, Netherworld, and the upcoming Diana. But for today, we'll talk about these two underrated albums. I always feel like David is very, very underrated. In Bon Jovi and these two albums, he's very underrated. And if you really listen to the Bon Jovi sound, a lot of people will credit Richie for the sound, but I think a lot of that credit deserves to go to David because David gives that Bon Jovi sound.
He does. I mean, there's so much that you can do with the keyboards themselves, but he just puts, 200% into everything.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
look,
and
look. Go ahead.
I was going to say, with This House Is Not For Sale, it was the first album after Richie had left.
Yep.
And, David was the one who stepped in to fill that creative gap.
Exactly. And if you listen to a lot of when they were out in the '80s, the stuff that bands at that time were putting out, you really didn't have a lot of bands doing keyboards,
No.
or piano, if they did, it was only on one song. And so it was kind of nice to have a band back then that had keys and stuff. And, so, there's a video that I'm sure you're aware of. It's Hot Licks or something like that. It was a VHS tape released in the late '80s, and it has just a full-on hour interview with David, and he plays a lot of the songs from Slippery, New Jersey, and you can really hear what he gives to those songs. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, songs like Wanted with that wah, wah.
Da-da-da, I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah, and
I think he calls it like like a spaghetti western
yeah,
influence.
yeah. So anyway, I remember when I was 8 years old when I first got into Bon Jovi in 2000. And I remember I had gotten all the Bon Jovi CDs in that year, and then I got John's solo albums, Richie's, and then David's was hard to get. I remember this one was Lunar Eclipse was released in December of 2000, and so I think I got this for Christmas, and I remember putting it in my CD player, and I was just 'cause as an 8-year-old kid, you think that music is just a singer, guitarist, and so I'm like sitting there, I'm waiting for the vocals, I'm like, he doesn't sing. Uh,
He doesn't sing till the very end.
in these arms, yeah. So when did you discover this album? When you became a fan?
Um, Lunar Eclipse, I actually didn't find until probably about 2007-ish. And then, of course, on a full moon, I will admit I have not been able to get my hands on a copy because people, put them out there on eBay for hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
But because of distribution issues, on a full moon is so rare that, at some point I'm probably going to have to shell out the $65, $70 just to get a copy.
Well, I sent you a link on Instagram for a $25 one. So
What's their shipping?
what's that?
I said, what's their shipping cost?
There is no shipping cost. I don't believe so, but that's neither near. You can check it out. But so what I really like about these solo albums is that it kind of expresses David's creativity. And, there's a lot of it has a really good flow to it. I'm getting married in 2 weeks, and we're actually using Lunar Eclipse as our prelude music as guests are coming in for the ceremony. And
I
then
did that same thing.
what's that? Yeah,
Did
and
that
we're also
same thing.
and we're doing the same thing for the cocktail hour too after the ceremony as we're doing our photos. We're going to be playing this album quite a bit that day. But anyway, so my point is that the flow of the album is just it's perfect. You don't have anything that's excessive and in your face. It's kind of nice background music. You know.
Yeah.
So so you had
I,
the whole album play at your wedding too?
I did. As the guests were coming in, just the whole album was playing, and then our um, music for like the Unity Candle ceremony was in these arms.
Was it really the
Yeah,
vocal?
vocal. Yeah.
Because on a full moon it's just instrumental, I believe. Let me look up.
Yeah. On a full moon's completely instrumental, and then Lunar Eclipse. It was funny with the only vocal track. He was actually thinking about hiring an outside singer to record it.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and he was finally like, screw it, and just sing. I'll just sing it myself. And
Yeah.
he did. And what we got was we finally got to hear those powerful vocals without all the hullabaloo of Bon Jovi.
Yep,
With all the
exactly.
instruments and mixing and stuff, we really just got to hear his vocals.
Yeah. And that version is just honestly it's him in a room just playing the piano and him singing. It's like you said, there was no mixing to it, no other instruments.
Yeah.
And I always will stick by this. I love David's version more than the band's version.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
I think it's incredible. I love the way that he sings it, and I also love how some of the lyrics are different too. Like in the first verse, I'd cheat, I'd steal, I'd lie. He kind of changes it up versus how
Mhm.
John sings it and on Keep the Faith. So I like that, and I love seeing it live. There's once in a while when John lets him, you know, um, David will sing "In These Arms," or he's
Yeah.
also saying "Wanted" and "It's My Life" and "Prayer." So that's been cool too. And there's a part of me that wishes that there was like a double album where he kind of did like Bon Jovi songs and stuff. But
We
unfortunately,
need a petition for him to do that after his music, after
exactly.
Diana's done.
I love the way he sings Bon Jovi songs. We've seen videos of him doing "Wanted" and "It's My Life," "Prayer," as I just mentioned.
Yeah.
And I remember I got to see Prayer. I got to see him do Prayer for the first time in
In
2007
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh because John was sick and
Yep.
he couldn't sing. And so David said I remember after the show, people were like blown away. They're like, "Who's that guy?" I'm like, "That is David Bryan." And he's like, "Have
That
you?"
is a master at work.
Yeah, I remember everybody was just bragging about how good David sounded singing that. I was like, "That's David Bryan," and I was so proud, and I was so happy to see David sing. Because John had cut the show short. They only did like 10 songs, and I have a set list, and there was like 24 songs that night. I was like, I would have been happy if David would have sang the rest of the show, because that's how much I love seeing David sing. It's
Yeah.
funny because when I go see Bon Jovi live, there's times, and It's My Life is a perfect example. There's times where I'll watch David sing the entire, or play the entire song. I won't look at John or Tico. I'll watch solely David. And so for like It's My Life, I love watching him do the backing vocals on the chorus. It's incredible, where he's holding those notes and, I'm sure you do. You probably watch him the entire show.
When I went to see them in St. Louis 2017, my eyes were just locked on him.
Glued.
And granted, like my mom and I, we were sitting seats behind the stage. I got the ones that were closest to his keyboard. It's like, I'm not going to see Bon Jovi. I'm going to see David Bryan.
Exactly.
And I'm watching his little booty shake between his keyboards and singing, and that made my show.
Yeah.
And when he caught my eye, and you get that little bit of participation with them, I will tell you that was the best night of my life. It's like I will sit behind the stage, but I'm getting close to those keyboards.
Yeah. Have you ever done the backstage tour VIPs?
No, I'm poor.
I tell you, for as much as you love David, you've got to
I be
see.
stealing his water bottle. Don't.
Yeah. You've got to see his setup. I mean, his setup is really cool. Just to kind of see it up close.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. But so let's start digging into the albums a little bit. So you and I both know that both albums, they're kind of pretty much the same tracks, except so On a Full Moon was released in September of '95, and the Lunar Eclipse was released in December of 2000. And the only difference is Awakening and was it Midnight Voodoo is not on Lunar Eclipse, but Lunar Eclipse has I Can Love and Second
Chance.
on Lunar Eclipse. So I always wondered why he kind of put another album out with the same songs. But what I think was when in '95, as far as the States, these days wasn't that big. It was overseas, obviously.
Yeah.
So I think when Crush was released and it was Crush was this huge phenomenon, I think David kind of thought to himself, right now would be a perfect time to re-release this and see how it does.
Yeah.
And so that's my, I always wondered why he re-released another album but with the same songs. I think it was just because he wanted it to get more listens, more people. Because Bon Jovi was huge.
Yeah, and like I said, there was such a distribution issue with On a Full Moon. It really didn't have enough time to gain the traction.
Exactly.
So when he was able to release Lunar Eclipse, I think it was on Rounder Records, or UMG, Universal.
Ignition. Lunar Eclipse was.
Well, Moon Junction Music is on there too, so we're not. We ain't even gonna go there.
Yeah.
I think that's like his like self-publishing label.
Either way, yeah. I heard somewhere that On a Full Moon there was only like 10,000 copies made or something like that. It's a very short amount. And so, like you said, I think there's like a distribution problem and stuff. I think obviously, I think the majority of the people that bought this album were Bon Jovi fans, which is fine. And But I kind of wish like a lot of the rest of the world who weren't just Bon Jovi fans would listen to these albums because they are truly incredible. You
Yeah.
know, like I mean, you could really see his talent as a pianist, a keyboardist, and you really see his talent. And, it makes you really appreciate him even more than you already do.
Yeah, but also it's like this man, he poured his heart and soul into this album,
Mm-hmm.
and something people may not know, he has a home studio. Um, even in the home he was living in when he recorded this, and that's where everything was recorded and produced
Yep.
on his own equipment. He wasn't going to a big professional whatever studio to record like Bon Jovi does.
Yep. This big production, and it's like I was saying earlier about In These Arms. Listen to how incredible that is. It was just him in a room playing piano and singing the song. That was
Yeah.
it, and it was incredible. And it'll always, and the thing is with Bon Jovi too is I wish he would be able to write more songs, like lyrics and stuff, because I think he's,
Amen. Amen. I've been saying that since day one.
it's
It's like, John, you have a Tony Award winning composer in your band.
and if you listen to
Obviously, he doesn't suck.
I know, and if you listen to his soundtracks, like Diana. When I saw the previews for Diana last year before the pandemic started, I mean, you really got a Bon Jovi sound to that play, because David obviously did the music, but David has this really great rock and roll sound to his keyboard playing and piano playing on the soundtracks. Like
Yes.
Memphis and Toxic Avenger, and then the upcoming Diana. So, but anyway, so let's. I know we can keep going on and on and on about how underrated he is, because he truly is. But let's start talking about these albums. We'll just kind of go, through tracks and stuff. What's your absolute favorite track on this album besides In These Arms? 'Cause I think both of us would say In These Arms.
Except for not including In These Arms.
Yeah.
I would actually have to say Kissed by an Angel is my favorite.
Okay, that's my second one. I would have to say my first one would be the intro to Lunar Eclipse, which would be Second Chance. I believe, yeah, Second Chance. I love that. Um,
Yeah.
I think that was a great opener
Yeah.
to Lunar. The Second Chance it sounds a lot like Elton John in a way. You know.
Yeah, with like the mood shifts in the song.
Mm-hmm.
Um, from what I remember reading, Second Chance was actually written after his hand injury.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
No,
it was his recovering after in his second chance um, after that injury.
oh, I didn't know that. That makes Yeah, and every time I watch the real life music video, because that was when David injured his hand. They have the cardboard cut out. I'm glad that they did that. Nowadays John won't. You know,
He's done music videos along without the band, so
but back then, the band was always in the videos, and so
yeah.
it's funny to see them carrying a cutout of David. That was pretty
Tico
cool.
just walking by and he's carrying David in his
Yeah.
arms.
I wonder where that. I wonder if David probably has that cutout or something.
He probably does, like stashed in his closet somewhere.
Yeah.
I
So.
know I know he's got a couple life-size photos. Because I've seen a picture of his wife posing with one. I mean, I saw that. I'm like, come on, really?
Yeah. It's funny too. We'll talk about Kiss by an Angel here in a second, but I want April, because I know that was his ex-wife, and there's a track on both albums called April, which is obviously probably dedicated to her. And before we get into Kiss by an Angel, I always wondered how he came up with some of these titles, because obviously there's no lyrics, it's just piano songs. So I always wonder how him and like other pianists who do these kind of albums with no lyrics, how they come up with a title. You know, like songs like Midnight Voodoo. Like, how did he come up? I always wondered that.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think, wasn't that on the Netherworld soundtrack?
Oh, that's a good question. I haven't listened to that album in forever. Let me. Now you got me curious. I'm gonna look. Netherworld, because now I'm curious too. Because
Because
that
it
was
kind of fits in like with the whole like dark and like haunting vibes.
so. I think that came out what in 91, 92. It was right around the same time that John and Richie were doing their solo stuff.
Yeah.
Um, no, it wasn't. Netherworld Waltz was obviously, and
Well, I'm
that's
glad I didn't put money on that because I would have lost.
well. I see. I was thinking the same thing. I'm looking at the other tracks there, but there's no. Okay, so for some reason we got disconnected, which has never happened before.
We are
But
back from technical issues.
we are back for my first ever. This is my 46th Bon Jovi discussion, and this is the first time I've ever had a technical error.
Your
So
computer was just like, I'm sick of listening to her.
it's a brand new computer too. They probably got tired of us here or us bragging about David Bryan. So like, I got to take a break. So anyway, so we were talking about.
Break from all
Uh,
this hotness.
so I thought Midnight Voodoo was on Netherworld Waltz, and it wasn't. Or not. Midnight Voodoo was on Netherworld, but it wasn't. Um, so, but let's go into Kiss by an Angel, which is your favorite. I really like that one because I'll let you talk about it first because it's your favorite, so you deserve to talk about it first.
So with Kiss by an Angel, the vibe that I get from it is kind of like a song from one lover to another.
Okay.
It's I get more of a romantic, um, first it's like sweet and tender, and then for I don't know, like a minute, it goes to like low, like slower to like
Yeah.
the lower scales,
Hmm.
which is more soothing. Um,
And then it picks up, which I love.
yeah, and then it picks back up. It's
Yep.
almost like maybe not a song from one lover to another, maybe like a conversation. The
Yeah.
emotions. But I just think it's really romantic.
Yeah. It's um I also like. I think the begin, like you said, it's very soothing. I think in the beginning of that is I really like the. It's kind of like a lullaby type sound. That the first
Mhm.
maybe 30 seconds sounds like a lullaby, but then as you said, it kind of gets more of a romantic sound. Uh,
Yeah.
so that's what I love about "Kissed by an Angel." Um, try,
April, the song April kind of reminds me of like a waltzy wedding dance song.
I thought that, you see, you and I we think quite alike. I thought the same thing.
I
You
can
know,
imagine
that's a
David
fact.
watching this and be like, "Yeah, y'all completely wrong."
Probably, but that's what the beauty thing. That's what the beautiful thing about music is that we can interpret it in different ways. It's
Yeah.
like John. John always says that. Once they release it, it becomes our song. We interpret it in different ways. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, I do see where you're going with April because it does sound like something you'd walk into a ballroom for, and it's
Yeah.
eccentric and stuff like that.
And then you got like that whole transition. It starts very classic.
Uh-huh.
His classic piano training, the rhythmic piano scales, and then it transitions into this flowy romantic melody.
Yeah, you took the words right. That's how I didn't know how to explain it, and you explained it perfectly. Trying to think, there's two songs on these albums too that I always thought were kind of funkier. I didn't really match the flow, but they're good songs. Um, Room Full of Blues and Up the River. I
Yeah.
don't for they're kind of they have a funkier, more fun type set, because most of the album is more very intimate in a way, relaxing and soothing, and then you get Room Full of Blues and Up the River, and Up the River sounds more. I don't know how to explain it in the right way, but it's more exotic. It kind of sounds like a jungle type
Yeah,
song.
like a
Yeah,
Amazonian
yeah,
theme.
yeah. So I like those songs because it's different.
It makes you sit up and makes your ears perk up.
Exactly.
And like
And then,
Roomful of Blues, it's like very jazzy and bluesy,
yeah,
but very upbeat. And I've actually found, just from videos I've seen, it's kind of how he plays during jam sessions with local bands.
it was Matt O'Ree. Yeah.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
kind of reminds me of Schroeder from the Peanuts too. Like, just close your eyes and you can just see Schroeder just going.
What are your other favorites on the album?
I mean, my absolute favorite, it's gotta be In These Arms.
Okay, so let's talk about In These Arms because that is definitely the best art, both our favorites. So like I said, I really like how he kind of changes the lyrics in that
Yeah.
first verse. With "I'd cheat, I'd steal, I'd lie."
Instead, he's like, I'd steal, I'd cheat, I'd lie if you were in these arms tonight.
You know, and this his version has a mood to it. So like when
Yeah.
I want to listen to "In These Arms," I have it on repeat.
Mm-hmm. And you
I,
gotta turn it up. Just turn
uh,
up the volume.
and it's funny too because like I am no singer and I am a terrible singer, but like I'll turn it up all the way and I'll sing along to it. And my fiance Rachel, because you just you feel the song. I think you connect and feel this song more on David's version than you do with the band. It's more intimate and more it pulls you in. And so I'll turn it up, like you said, and I'll scream my heart out to it. And Rachel and my fiance Rachel, she's like, just let David sing it.
Let the singer actually do the singing.
Exactly. But it's such a good song to sing. Because like John's version is very high and very, you know, hard to sing along to. David's is very easy to kind of sing along to. Does that make sense?
It does, and he's very emotional with his vocals and
Yes.
how he brings his music across.
Yep.
Um, and we may not hear it in These Arms on the album, but a couple of times when he sings it live, he hits those high tenor notes.
Yeah.
Whereas, on the album, it stays between like baritone and tenor.
Hmm.
And then when he sings it live, he just like ups it.
I know.
And it's just amazing.
That's why I love seeing him live, and I love being able to see him sing songs on his own, and it's just it's so good. I could praise the guy all day how he sings live. It's just amazing. Um, Anything else you want to say about In These Arms?
No, I've,
Uh,
I, I've
and
probably talked about that song way too much.
I do too. I also love the way that he kind of ends it. You think it ends, but then he goes, "You want commitment? Take a look into these eyes," and
Mhm.
then it ends. I
And his
love.
voice goes a lot softer.
Yeah.
Instead of
After,
that
after,
hard chest voice that he does, instead it's just very soft.
and my favorite part of the song too is the way that he sings. Your clothes are still scattered all over the room. There's no, I love the way he sings that part bridge, and then he kind of goes into a piano solo, which
Yeah.
is really cool. And so. But like I was telling you earlier about that Hot Licks tape. It's kind of interesting to see how you just hear Davis. It's on YouTube now. Like you can find like vocals only, or guitar only, or drums. You can hear different parts of the song pretty easily, and it's really interesting to go on YouTube and listen just to David's part, because you can really tell how much he adds to it, because there's a lot of songs where you don't really hear a lot of keys or piano,
Right.
but on when you hear it just piano only, man, it's so good.
Yeah.
You can see how much he adds to Bon Jovi.
I would love to hear his stripped down acoustic versions of Bon Jovi songs.
I know. That's why I'm like hoping like one day he'll do like a small tour or something, or even just one show where he sits down with a piano in front of an audience and just plays Bon Jovi's and some of his solo stuff too from his albums, But
Well, I mean, he's kind of done that with I think it's Carrera, Italy.
yeah,
But he
he was
still
going
had a
all
band backing him.
yeah. I don't know, I would just like to see it like intimate kind of setting where he's doing his own songs and then the Bon Jovi stuff and just him. I love that.
I'd give my right arm to see a show like that.
Do a runaway trip or something like that.
Oh my God! Don't get me in that runaway discussion.
All right, all right.
It's gonna end in a fight.
I know they did one though with David back in 11, I think. It was for Memphis, I think it was. They did a runaway trip though, and it was just David. It was for his play.
Did I miss something?
Yeah, I think it was 2011 they did that. 2011, yeah, or 12. It might have been 12 because they also did one around the same time too for Richie for Aftermath. They did a trip.
I actually did not know that.
Yeah, let me because I almost did it, but I couldn't because of college. But let me pull it. Let me see. I'll have to look around for it, but it definitely happened. And I think it was only for like uh, 50 people. But and like he sat in audience chairs, and fans sat right beside him and took pictures.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't know that. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I think it was either for Memphis or Toxic Avenger. I can't remember which one. But it was
it may have been for Toxie.
yeah. So
So let me ask you this,
sure.
because I kind of have like split feelings about it. The song Interlude.
Interlude on a full moon. Oh no, it's on Lunar Eclipse.
On Lunar Eclipse.
Yes.
So it comes right in the middle of the album.
Yeah.
Have you ever given thought to it kind of splitting the album between classic piano and the more experimental songs?
Oh.
Because if you listen to the
I
songs
never thought of that. Yes, I never thought
if
of
you listen to the songs before it, it's very classical, acoustic, songs. But then afterward, you get the jazz, the blues, the sax, the drums, all of that comes in. And
yeah.
then he ends it with In These Arms.
You're right. I never thought of that because it's funny you said that too, because I believe both are at the Room and River are also after Interlude, and Room Full of Blues is right after Interlude,
Mm-hmm.
and like we're talking about the funkier type sound, and if you listen to Interlude and then right into Room Full of Blues, you definitely get an experimental type. So I never thought of that. You're right. Because what else?
So it's not just me.
No, no, you're completely right. I would have never thought of that. I'm trying to remember how I hear our prayer. I'm trying to listen to it in my head.
Here Our Prayer.
It's
it has like more of like a melancholy feel. I think
It's reflective.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
it feels like one of the sadder songs on the record.
Oh, absolutely. That one and Kissed by an Angel, I think are the saddest ones. Um, and then I think what's that? Summer of Dreams is more in your. It's funny because Hear Our Prayer. Hear Our Prayer is kind of very, like you said, reflective, melancholy, and then all of a sudden you go to the next track, which is Summer of Dreams, and it's kind of in your, I'm not a pianist, so I don't know the different scales and stuff, but louder and in your face and stuff like that.
I would say it's very upbeat and passionate.
Yeah, it's definitely, yeah, I could see that. And then Up the River we've talked about, which is kind of an exotic.
Kind of like a Spanish or Cuban vibe to it.
And that's the only song that you kind of hear drums and other sounds. I don't know what that is. There's drums on it.
I think it's like a maraca or something.
So I wonder if he's playing those sounds on his keyboard or if he actually had. Let me look. I want to see if there's any credits to other musicians. So it was produced by David and Larry Fast. Um,
So the only
so there's
Moon Junction Studio, which is his home studio. The only actual like credits for other musicians is Netherworld Waltz.
Yeah, because he has a whole band there in the book. I'm looking at the booklet right now.
And he was actually in that scene in Netherworld.
Oh, was he?
It's a whole scene with the band and that song. And yeah, he's like front row center, wearing a bandana, looking like a badass. With a big like upright piano.
I haven't seen that in forever. Yeah, so we're talking about Up the River, with it having those different sounds to it, like a little bit of a drum. It says MIDI orchestrations, whatever that is, whatever that's supposed to mean. But anyway, so yeah, so I wonder if he did that on his keys or what. But either way, um, you know, overall these are just great. I want to look on the. I also love the artwork too. We didn't talk about the artwork. Like the covers. I kind of like how he did Lunar. Lunar Eclipse kind of reminds me of Crush in a way, but in a different style. The squares, and then so I like that. The first one definitely has that early mid '90s vibe cover.
Like a mid '90s grungy type vibe.
And
then he's wearing suspenders.
I don't know. Ever since I got this when I was a kid, it always reminded me like he was going to paint or something.
Can we just talk about the suspenders for a minute?
Yeah, exactly. Um, and then you got the little. If this doesn't want to make you go buy the album, I don't know what will. I knew that be your selling point.
I gotta stop. I'm drooling over here.
I still have the sticker on the. I actually have this one fine. The little sticker. I'm a big sticker. Because nowadays people don't buy physical albums. I was just like, it says David Bryan, keyboard player for Bon Jovi, first solo album, creating music that comes from the heart. It includes a new version of the Bon Jovi smash In These Arms. But so anyway, yeah. So overall, this album is so is amazing. I know we could go on and on and on about it. I wish there was vocals in some of these songs because I feel like I could take the songs to a whole new level. But I don't. I think David's goal for that though was not to. I think it was just to kind of show his talent and stuff and have a soothing album and just listen to the piano.
And one thing I do want to say with Lunar Eclipse, because sadly the photographer, Linda Rowe, is no longer with us. She's actually the one who did the photography. I know my lighting's absolutely horrible. But yeah, she was the one who did the photography, and unfortunately is no longer with us. She passed away a few years ago. But she did an amazing job.
Yeah.
With the photography. Absolutely. For this album.
Because especially on the Lunar Eclipse, you really get that classic piano feel by just looking at the album, you know. And like I said, too, it kind of replicates Crush, how they did with the squares on the album cover. Another thing I want to point out too is I love how both one's called On a Full Moon, and then the second one's Lunar Eclipse. Yeah. And so I wonder what gave him the inspiration to call it. I
know. Yeah. I know.
Let's hear it.
He's actually a night man, and has always had a love, maybe slight obsession, with the moon since he was a kid.
Okay. And
he actually has a model he got as a kid and still has it, like sitting right on his desk. But yeah, he said he's always been a nighttime. That's when he does his writing, his work, even if he has to be up at 6 a.m. the next day.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, because and it's funny too that you said it, because like on Instagram and stuff, you know, I'll see videos of him like at a party at like middle of the night, or or just him partying in general. None of the other guys really do that, and you see David like with a glass of wine and singing his heart out to karaoke and just.
Oh, he can be drunk, and he'll still just belt out those Bon Jovi lyrics just like the rest of us.
Yep, exactly. So anyway, I really appreciate you coming on today, because I knew I couldn't find anybody better to do these albums with than you. And so, like I said, we'll do the soundtracks. Once Diana's fully released and we get the Diana soundtrack, we'll definitely, talk about Netherworld and Toxic, Avenger, and Memphis, and then Diana. So, but I'm looking forward to seeing you in November. Meeting for the in person for the first time and stuff. And
yes, for Diana.
We're gonna have a blast. It's gonna be a great day. It's gonna be good to finally be at Bon Jovi events, David events, and all that stuff.
There is nobody better that I would throw my money at.
Exactly. My fiance, she always makes fun. She goes, "Why? How much money do you spend on this band?" I'm like, I don't even want to add up the numbers. I don't want to add up the numbers. But it's worth.
I'd like to know that too, because of all the stuff you have.
Yeah. So, but anyway, thank you so much, Leesha, for coming on today, and I wish you well. And I know we keep in touch on social media, so I'm sure we'll talk again soon. Okay.
Yes, and we will meet up in November at Diana and have a great time.
And we'll talk more about David Bryan. We'll drive. Are you bringing your husband?
Oh no.
Oh.
He hates David because I like him. And two, he doesn't like musicals.
Well, see, Rachel 9 times out of 10 will come with me, and it's just like Bon Jovi shows. She always sits there, because I get with my Bon Jovi friends, and we'll nonstop all day talk about Bon Jovi. And I feel
it's just like
has nothing, because she doesn't know what we're talking about. And so I feel like that's going to be you and I, that we're going to talk nothing about David Bryan, and she's going to sit there and go, I'll have to prep her. So
my husband would be like, oh God.
They can sit together and go, what the hell are they talking about?
He'd be like, are you really trying to take a picture of his butt? Yes.
Well, see, I don't do that, so I guess.
Well, no, you're a guy. I'm gonna expect you to do that.
Well, there's gay guys out there that probably do, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I'd just be like, Dave, can you just turn around just a little bit more?
Yeah, but I don't take pictures of his butt, so. And then, I almost knocked him over, and it's funny because we're talking about the little bobblehead.
Oh, he's so cute.
Do you have a bobblehead?
No.
Okay, I have. Remind me in November. I have an extra one. I will give you one.
I will give you my left arm for it.
Okay, well, you better give me your left arm then in November. I don't know what I'll do with your left arm, but you better give me your left arm.
You could sell it on the black market.
I probably could. Someone would probably buy it. But seriously, remind me, and because I have like 2 or 3 of these, I'll give you one.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Leesha, thank you again so much for coming on.
Thank you.
All right, I'll see you soon.
All right, bye.